Roulette discovers a new world, starting with her corrected vision. Please welcome Aralyn Hughes.
Now I'm going to take a minute and thank you, Teresa, for doing this Writer's Roulette once a month, all the time, putting it together, putting the information out, getting it organized. Thank you. That's a lot of work. I grew up in a small town in Oklahoma on Highway 66, and I call it a peak and plum town. Peak around the corner and plum out of town. When I was in the 4th grade, I sat in the back of the class because I was the tallest kid in the class. And we were supposed to copy the math problems off the board, the chalkboard, and write the answers in. Well, every time I turned in a blank sheet of paper. The teacher asked me why I didn't do it, and I was like shy. So I said, so she talked to my parents and said I was being obstinate and I would not do the math problems in class. So my parents said, what's the deal? Why aren't you doing the math problems? I said, because I can't see the board. So, problem solved. They moved me to the front row and I sat on the front row just like that. And the teacher again called my parents and said we moved her to the front row and she's still not doing the math problems. Now the chalkboard was about right here and I was sitting about right there. So after this they decided maybe a trip to the eye doctor might be good. So I went to the eye doctor and I sat in that dark room with that little white thing down at the end of that hall. It seemed so far when I was 8 or 10 years old, probably 10. And the doctor kept putting things up on the board and saying, tell me, can you read that? No. Can you read the bottom line? No. Can you read the, no. What do you see there? Nothing. And this went on and on and on, and finally he put a big B up on the board, one single B. And he said, can you tell me what that letter is? And I said, I think it's a B. And he said, Mrs. Hughes, you are lucky to have this child. I'm surprised she hadn't been run over by a bus. So the time came for me to pick up my new eyeglasses. And we left the office, and we got in the car, and riding home in the car, looking out the window, it was like the difference today may be in a black and white TV and a colored retina TV. I mean, it was totally different what I saw. There were leaves on the trees. Things were moving. I could see birds. I could see things far away, that houses. The houses had windows. The houses had doors. It was a miracle. My entire life changed when I got glasses. And the world changed, and I changed, and the people around me changed. When I went to college, I had a roommate from another little town in Oklahoma, and her dad was an ophthalmologist, and she had these little bitty plastic things that she put in her eyes. I have never seen anything like that, but it wasn't long after that that I got the contact lens. Now, my life went from being the girl with the glasses that was obviously real smart, to the girl without the glasses who was kind of cuter and more attractive to the boys. I was never the same after I got contacts. The world changed, I changed, and the people around me changed. When I was about 40, my dad was diagnosed with cancer. Terminal was the end. He was 94, but no one close to me had ever died before. So I went from being kind of a semi-normal person to a real crazy person, anticipating that my father would die, talking to my friends about that I could not even imagine a world that didn't have my father in it. It was like it would become dark and it would be over. I had dreams and fantasies and talked to them about getting in the hole where the casket was and being buried and having the dirt put on top of me with my father. they determined that I needed to see a psychiatrist. So I went to the psychiatrist and I told him all these stories. And he also observed that I was fractious. That's what my mother always called me. Who knows what that word means? Kind of, just fractious, yeah. And I think you'd call it ADD today. Back then they called it hyperactive. And he said, I'm going to put you on some drugs. I thought, oh no. And he said, it will help your personality and it will help you deal with your father's death. Well, I wasn't too keen on it, but he said, well, we'll do it. It's going to be temporary. You don't have to do it forever. I said, okay. He said, it won't kick in for a few days. So, and it'll be subtle. You won't really notice it. And I said, well, will I act weird in front of people? And he said, no, they won't even know that you're taking the drugs. So one morning when I was getting ready to go to work, the usual routine, drinking the coffee, putting the pants away, getting my paper, putting the things in the purse, coming down to there, putting things out for the mailbox, and getting in the car, locking the door, getting in the car, unlocking the door, backing out of the driveway. Oh, forgot my purse. Driving back in the driveway, going back in the house, and doing all that, getting back in the car, back in the thing, going down 100 miles an hour because if I went really fast, I could get through that first light and not have to stop. Yeah, but I didn't make it. I had to stop. Now, normally when I stop, I would beat on the steering wheel and go, God, why can't I get through? How long is this going to take? Sometimes I would get in the trunk and organize my files, which I stored in the trunk. But this time, I looked to the left, and I looked to the right, and I said to myself, this is the way other people sit at the stoplight. Like this. They just sit here. So after I went on medication, things were never the same. The world changed, I changed, and the people around me changed. Now in my 60s, I began to not be able to read anything close up, And I want to mention when you're talking about eyesight, it's a disability that people don't see. So, like when I could never catch the softball in grade school, they thought it was because I was inept. I really couldn't see the ball coming. But anyway, I began to not see things. I couldn't read anything. I stopped reading altogether. I couldn't text on the phone. I couldn't read anything in small print. And I sometimes would use a magnifying glass. Sometimes that wouldn't work. People would give me readers. Didn't work. And thank God for phones that came out that you could talk to, because that saved my life, because I could say, dial this number, give me directions to da-da-da. So I went to the doctor, they did all the exams, they get the reports, and you go back and the whole thing, and she said, you have, as I recall, something like dystrophy. What about dystrophy? And the bottom line, it's your cornea, and it's deteriorating, and eventually you will go blind. And the other eye will have the same thing eventually, and it has it now, but not as bad. So eventually, probably by the time you're late 70s, you will be blind. So I thought, oh well, what do you do? Can't fix it, can't do anything. So I just proceeded on, and I had my phone. I could talk. 2 years later, I went back for a checkup. I thought that was probably a good thing to do since I had this disease. And the doctor said to me, I think I can replace your cornea with another cornea of someone else who has died. Really? Well, I've got nothing to lose because I can't see anyway. So I had the cornea replacement. And they did the operation on my eye, and again, over time, my eyesight came back. Now, my eyesight far away stayed the same. That's why I have glasses, because I can't see so well far away, and I need the glasses. But close up now, you can hand me any prescription bottle with the little print on the inside, and I can read you every word in that, because I have a new cornea. And I said to the doctor, hey, give me the name of the family or something. I'll write them a thank you note. And he said, no, we get this from the eye bank. And we get only the age and the cause of death. My life was never the same after I got a new cornea. The world changed, I changed, and the people around me changed. Thank you.